full US adapted script with hero backstory and motivation. The Final Sleep at 8,849 meters, the story of Philipp Santiago II, Frost of Heights documentary intro, the man who climbed for a purpose Everest, a mountain of dreams, a mountain of extremes. And for Philipp Santiago II, it was more than a mountain. It was a promise he made to himself and to the people he loved. He wasn't climbing for fame, he wasn't climbing for records, he wasn't climbing for social media likes. Philipp climbed because he believed that every person has one great dream, the kind of dream that defines who you are. For him, Everest was that dream. But the dream he spent years preparing for became the place where he would take his final breath. This is the story of a man who reached higher than most will ever dare, and the mountain that silently took him in. 1. Who was Philipp Santiago II? To understand his final moments, you must understand his life. Philipp was known in the Philippines not as a thrill-seeker, but as a disciplined athlete, a devoted adventurer, and a thoughtful soul. He valued 3 things deeply. 1. Discipline. He trained relentlessly. 2. Purpose. He believed mountains reveal a person's true character. 3. Legacy. He wanted to inspire his community. He wasn't wealthy. He wasn't sponsored. He worked hard, saved and invested everything into his passion for climbing. And he had a mission to represent Filipino climbers on the highest point on Earth. For him, reaching the summit was about pride, identity, and proving that strength doesn't come from where you are born. It comes from what you are willing to endure. 1. Who was Philipp Santiago II? To understand his final moments, you must understand his life. Philipp was known in the Philippines not as a thrill-seeker, but as a disciplined athlete, a devoted adventurer, and a thoughtful soul. He valued 3 things deeply. 1. Discipline. He trained relentlessly. 2. Purpose. He believed mountains reveal a person's true character. 3. Legacy. He wanted to inspire his community. He wasn't wealthy. He wasn't sponsored. He worked hard, saved and invested everything into his passion for climbing. And he had a mission to represent Filipino climbers on the highest point on Earth. For him, reaching the summit was about pride, identity, and proving that strength doesn't come from where you are born. It comes from what you are willing to endure. 2. Why he decided to climb Everest. Philipp's dream started years earlier. He had climbed mountains across Asia. He trained through storms, heat, exhaustion. He pushed his limits over and over. But Everest was different. Everest was the test, the ultimate challenge, the journey that would define his life. He once told friends, "I want to show that a Filipino can stand at the top of the world, that we belong there too." It wasn't ego, it was representation, a statement of identity. He wanted to inspire young adventurers back home, to prove that big dreams are not only for the privileged. 3. His preparation. Years of obsession. Philipp spent years preparing, physical training, altitude acclimatization, budgeting and saving every coin, studying routes, learning survival techniques, practicing with oxygen systems, mental conditioning, and recording his journey for his family and followers. He wasn't careless. He wasn't naive. He knew the risks better than most. But he believed something deeply. A dream worth having is a dream worth fighting for. 4. The ascent to 8,849 meters. The climb was grueling. He crossed the infamous Khumbu icefall. He climbed the Lhotse face. He battled cold that felt like knives against his skin. He rested in crowded high camps where every breath burned his lungs. But he kept pushing, and with every step, he grew closer to representing his nation on the world's highest peak. Philipp reached 8,849 meters, almost the exact altitude of the summit. Most people never get that high. Most climbers turn back far earlier. He was right there, within reach of the dream he had chased for years. 5. The death zone, where dreams end and silence begins. This place is called the death zone for one reason: humans are not meant to live here. Oxygen is too low, the brain begins to malfunction, muscles die from starvation, the heart strains to stay alive, a single mistake becomes fatal. Resting in the death zone, even for a few minutes, is enough to end a life. Philipp lay down in his tent to recover. He was exhausted from the climb, his oxygen levels were dangerously low, and in the cold silence of the world's highest peak, his body could no longer fight. Philipp passed away quietly, peacefully, in his sleep. He died as close to the sky as any person can ever be. 6. Why did he die? Experts believe it was high-altitude cerebral edema, heart failure, hypoxia, extreme exhaustion, or a combination of all four. But this must be said clearly. Philipp did everything right. He didn't make reckless choices. He wasn't unprepared. He wasn't inexperienced. He simply reached the altitude where human life can no longer continue. Mid-video question: retention. If your dream required you to face death, would you still chase it? Tell me in the comments. 7. What he left behind. Philipp left behind a family who believed in him, a community he inspired, a legacy of courage, and a reminder that dreams are powerful, but life is fragile. His story spread across the Philippines and the climbing world. People cried, people honored him, people learned from him. He became more than a climber, he became a symbol. 8. What Philipp represents to the world. His story teaches 3 truths. 1. Not every summit is meant to be reached. 2. Courage alone cannot defeat the death zone. 3. Even heroes need oxygen. He reminds the world that Everest is not a place of glory. It is a place of sacrifice. The mountain doesn't negotiate, the mountain doesn't forgive, and it doesn't return everyone who climbs it. Final, Frost of Heights, signature ending. If Philipp's story made you think, if it made you feel the true weight of a dream, subscribe, leave a like, and tell me, is any dream worth risking everything? My name is Sulu. This is Frost of Heights, where the mountains speak, and we listen.